Tariffs disrupt global markets. Military power redefines alliances. As Trump's second term reshapes the world, India faces tough choices. Welcome to Explained by NewsX. Today, we examine the implications of US President Donald Trump's recent decisions on the world order. From crushing sanctions on Russia to a massive defense spending surge and a sweeping domestic overhaul, Trump's agenda is sending ripple effects worldwide. From 500% tariffs targeting Russia's energy exports to $150 billion of a defense boost arming Ukraine, Trump's move mirrored his first term, but with higher stakes. Meanwhile, his America First bill tightens immigration and slashes welfare, impacting Indian students and workers. As India balances ties with Russia and the United States, one question looms: can it maintain its strategic edge in this global storm? Trump's sanctioning of Russia Act of 2025 aims to cripple the Russian economy, but it risks straining ties with key partners such as India. Supported by Marco Rubio and Tim Scott, the act imposes a 500% tariff on nations buying Russian oil, gas, or uranium, and its goal? To pressure Vladimir Putin to end the war with Ukraine, which is now in its 40th month. But India, a major buyer of Russian fuel, recorded imports worth $4.9 billion in May alone, 70% of which was crude oil. These tariffs thus jeopardize India's energy security, which relies on cheap Russian oil to stabilize prices and trade deficits. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has emphasized its energy needs in talks with US officials. This shows India's firm stance on continuing Russian imports and BRICS cooperation. All of this echoes Trump's first term, where the 2017 Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act targeted Russia and hit Turkey for buying S-400 systems. Trump had called that bill imperfect but signed it nevertheless. However, today's sanctions are tougher, risking trade tensions with India, China, and Europe. However, those in the Trump administration have raised questions about the efficacy of sanctions. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has asserted in the past that sanctions raise global prices and fail to deter Russia. So will India secure a waiver or face economic fallout? That remains to be seen. However, Trump's $150 billion defense spending surge and intended arms supplies to Ukraine also signal a shift in his priorities. His defense boost is larger than Germany's entire military budget. It funds new weapons, production, and sends the Army tactical missile system to Ukraine via NATO. This move follows Russian drone attacks on Ukrainian cities like Odessa. Trump calls it a win-win, with NATO allies aligning with his fair share policy and paying more. But for India, this raises concerns. Its defense ties with Russia, including the S-400 systems deal and joint submarine projects, already face US scrutiny under CAATSA. The 2025 sanctions bill could target entities engaging with Russia's defense sector, pressuring India to pivot to US arms. Now, amid this, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is pushing US contractors like Lockheed Martin to scale up production, potentially with India. He's offering India alternatives to Russian weapons. As India balances its Russian partnership with US demands, the larger question remains whether it can preserve its defense autonomy. Domestically, Trump's 900-page Big Beautiful Bill has been signed into law. It reshapes lives for Indian students and workers in the United States. The bill itself includes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, $350 billion for security, and cuts to welfare and green energy. For the 1.3 million Indian nationals in the United States, the effects are profound. The 1% remittance tax on money sent abroad by non-citizens, including H-1B workers and green card holders, raises costs. India, which received $119 billion in remittances in 2023, faces higher expenses for workers supporting their families back home. The bill's $350 billion security boost funds 100,000 detention beds and 10,000 ICE agents to deport 1 million people yearly. Indian students on F1 visas and H1B professionals risk deportation if visas lapse amid backlogs. Welfare cuts add work requirements for Medicaid and food stamps, plus a $35 Medicaid copay. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that 11.8 million people could lose health insurance by 2034, with 3 million losing food aid. Indian families who are on dependent visas or in low-wage jobs face hardships. Cuts to clean energy and a tax on university endowments threaten jobs and scholarships for Indian professionals and students. Experts warn of rising loan costs due to higher bond yields squeezing Indian households. Therefore, India is at a crucial juncture in navigating US pressure, all while protecting its strategic interests. India's growing US partnership via agreements like the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement and the Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement are crucial for countering China. However, Trump's second term is a high-stakes gamble, amplifying his first-term policies but with bolder moves. Sanctions on Russia threaten India's energy and defense ties, while military spending reshapes global alliances. The America First bill hits Indian students and workers, raising economic and legal risks. As India walks the geopolitical tightrope, its diplomatic and strategic autonomy face a crucial test. The world is watching and the stakes are sky high. That's all for now. Stay tuned for more on NewsX.